Guys, it's time to talk about Lady Midnight. I'm just gonna get in on my thoughts. The first few minutes will be spoiler free, so if you haven't read the book, you can stay for a little while. I will tell you when it will get spoilery. Lady Midnight takes place 5 years after the end of City of Heavenly Fire, which is the conclusion to the Mortal Instruments series. And this picks up with our two new main characters, Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne, which were introduced in City of Heavenly Fire. Now, if you have not finished the Mortal Instruments, do not read this yet. Also, if you have not read The Infernal Devices, do not read this yet. And I would also recommend that you read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I personally didn't read them before I read this book. I don't feel like I got a ton of stuff that I missed out on, but there were elements from those novellas that were brought into this book, which I believe will play a big part in the next books. So if you want to get the full experience, I think that you should probably read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. So this book was on like another level completely. I've said before that I've always loved Cassandra Clare's writing, even from City of Bones, which people have said that her writing wasn't as developed in those books, and after reading this, I completely agree. I still love her writing, I still think it's always been fantastic, but this was a completely new step up in just her craft of writing, and the way she just constructs the story, it's just so, it's very serious, which is a little bit different from her other books, but there's still funny parts in it, which, as you can see, I have a ton of tabs. The yellow tabs are funnies, so there's quite a few in there. So Lady Midnight actually read pretty quick, but the development of the story was very slow, but it was still intriguing. She added so much about the Blackthorne family into this book, and it was just so incredible to see the way they interact with each other and how they interacted with the plot. Really loved about this book is the element of family. Julian Blackthorne is an amazing big brother, and the way he takes care of his siblings is just incredible. He is probably my new favorite character because of just the sheer amount of love he has for his family. Cassandra Clare does such a wonderful job at giving each of her characters a distinct voice, and since there's like 4 Blackthorne kids, then plus Julian and Emma, and each of those characters has such a distinct voice and a distinct character that you don't really get confused as to who's who when they're speaking, which I really enjoyed. So that's about it for the non-spoiler discussion. So if you haven't read this book, I will see you later when you come back and watch this video after you have read it. So bye, non-spoiler people. So I really enjoyed that Mark came into the series so quickly. I knew that he would have a big part to play in the series, but I didn't know how big of a part that would be, being that he was in the hunt. But I was so happy that we got to see him really quickly. And his character is so intriguing to me, just to see the way his human side and his fairy side coincide together. That was a lot of sides. What? But he's just hilarious, but he's also really scary. Fairies are terrifying to me. It's just, I don't know what it is about them. They just feel kind of really non-human, I guess. His interactions with his family and the way that they were so excited to see him, but he was so terrified of them. It was just heartbreaking. And then we find out about these followers. And at first, what do these people have to do with anything? But when we find out who Guardian is, I'm sorry, but I did not see that coming. Malcolm Fade, more like Malcolm Shady as all hell. I really liked him when he came into the book. He was so goofy and so weird. He kind of reminded me of the 11th Doctor, because he's just kind of like wacky and weird and you don't know what he's doing half the time. And then he turns out to be this just scary bad guy. But at the same time, I felt so sorry for him because he was so in love with Annabelle, and it just happened to be that they existed in a time where warlocks and shadow hunters they could not mix. And the fact that her family killed her just tore at my heart. And I really enjoyed the inclusion of Edgar Allan Poe's poem, Annabelle Lee, in the story. If you didn't realize, each of the chapter titles is a quote from the poem, which I thought was super, super cool. And I just really enjoyed that aspect. It was so scary, though, how just the entire ritual went, and I was very eager to find out what was happening. So Emma, I hurt for her so badly. Her parents were murdered, and all this time she's been finding bits of information to figure out who did it and why, and she's just so hell-bent on revenge. And Julian is her anchor. She is his anchor too. He's so much more mature than the other male leads because he was forced to be. I wasn't actually that surprised at the fact that he'd been running the Institute since he was 12. That entire chapter was still heart-wrenching when we found out about his Uncle Arthur's lunacy. But as Emma said, she said that we didn't know, but I think we knew. And the way she says it, like, we didn't know. It wasn't specifically told to us that he was running the Institute the entire time, but we knew that he was. It's just apparent by the way he loves his family. And the fact that he calls the children his children, and how he tells Emma that he wishes that they were married and that the kids were their kids. It's such an adult thing to say. It's so different from them just being like, I wish we could be together. It's that I wish that this family could just be a family the way that he wants it to be, the way that it should be right. But they struggle so much through this book of figuring out their feelings and figuring out how to deal with them. How Julian, he goes to the books about Parvati over and over and over again, reading the parts about them not being able to fall in love, trying to find a loophole so they can, because he's loved Emma ever since they were children. And Mark told him to keep Emma with him all the time so he wouldn't fall into this deep depression that he knows he will if Emma isn't around. And he tied her to her because he loves her so much. He didn't want her to leave because he needs her, because she's his anchor. And the love story in this has surpassed the Infernal Devices. I never thought I would say that, but their love is on such a different level that I can't even imagine them not being together. I don't know how I'll survive if they are not endgames. Oh my god, they have the most sexual tension I've ever seen in a book ever. Mara Dyer, that had some sexual tension. The Lux series, that has some sexual tension. This is like other books. Lady Midnight's like way up here. All of the moments of them thinking about each other and realizing that, oh my god, why am I thinking this about Julian? I shouldn't think that's no, I shouldn't think that. That's gross. But they are, because they love each other, and that's not something that you can just let go. And then the scene where Julian gets shot, and they're in the car. That scene is probably one of the most beautifully written scenes Cassandra Clare has ever written for me, because it was probably the most intimate scenes she's ever written without it being sexual, which I really appreciate because I actually prefer things that build slowly. But this scene, just the way she like climbed on top of him and was pouring like her soul into the vats to give him, to heal him, but it wasn't working. And just the way he like gasps and falls into her and says, "Don't stop." It doesn't sound like something you'd say when someone's trying to heal you. It sounds like something you'd say when you're making love. And it was just so, I couldn't. And that wasn't, and then when they danced, it's building and building and building and building, and then we get to the beach. And it was everything I wanted. I know I just said that I like the romantic relationships to slow build, but with them it can't, because their love is something completely different. I usually like my problem normally with like teen shows where people like they kiss and then they have sex immediately, it's because like you don't know that person, you're not in love, you shouldn't be giving all of yourself to them immediately like that. That's like my problem with this. But with Julian and Emma, their feelings are they're different. They're not just letting go of their inhibitions and just saying like, what the hell, I'm just gonna do this right now because I want to. They're doing it because they have to, and that they are so madly in love with each other, and they haven't admitted it, but they just had to let it all go. And it was so beautiful, and they were on the beach, and they just, I was freaking out at that scene. Oh, let me tell you. And then, of course, right after the beach is over, Cassandra Clare has to just tear our hearts out, because yet again they have to deny their feelings of love for each other, because Parabatai cannot fall in love. And they don't know why yet, but we find out why when Jem tells us. And it's because Parabatai, they have a bond. And because their bond is so strong, if they fall in love, that love turns into magic. And all magic has a price, and that price is that they go mad and they turn into monsters. And it makes me so sad that I'm gonna cry. It just, the line from City of Bones to love is to destroy has never meant so much until that bit was revealed. To love is to destroy, to fall in love with your Parabatai and make that bond so much stronger. The fact that the runes they give each other turns into magic, the fact that can destroy their souls because of that magic having a price. It's so tragic. And just the fact seeing that they can't fall in love, I see it, that it can't be something that can happen, because it will literally destroy them. And it destroys me, because I need them to be together. I need them. I need it. And I don't know how it's gonna happen, because they'll either, I have a couple theories, they're either gonna just ignore it, and they're going to just sacrifice themselves for love, or Emma's gonna just break his heart and they're gonna die or something. I don't know. I don't even know how to like really express the way I feel, because it's just so over the top emotional. It's just, for Julian, he's such a more emotional being for me, and I just don't want, I can't even imagine what the next book's gonna be like, because as you know, at the end, Emma has to break his heart, because she finds out what happens to them if they fall in love, and she decides to go and make a fake relationship with Mark. And Julian said that it would literally destroy him if she had anything with Mark. So what does she do? She decides to destroy him. And can we talk about that last scene for a second? Why even pretend? Or why lie? What's the line? Yeah, why lie? and Mark closes the door. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the freaking vampires in Vampire Diaries when they turn off their I can't speak. That reminds me of the Vampire Diaries when the vampires turn off their humanity when they have been broken. And Mark is broken after what happened with Kieran. Okay, Mark. I was hardcore shipping Mark and Christina, and then we find out that Kieran is a thing. At first I liked him because I could see the way that he was kind of like Mark's anchor while in the hunt. Mark and Kieran, they kind of like held each other together, and I liked that. But then we get to when they're at the lottery, and Kieran is so jealous. He's basically forcing Mark to choose him over his family. And I immediately had that red light turn on. This is an abusive relationship, and that is not okay, and I'm not okay with it. And then the whipping scene. Because of Kieran's jealousy, Mark was supposed to be whipped. Julian and his selfless self went in and took the whippings, and then Emma, because she could feel it, and because she couldn't stand seeing Julian hurt, she takes the whippings, and she puts him to sleep because she knows he couldn't stand seeing her get whipped. It's just this line of selflessness. And then there's Julian, and then there's Kieran over there, just super jealous. I'm actually really glad that Mark broke up with him because I can't deal with that. I can't deal with jealousy, and that's just not okay in my book at all. And then he goes and gets his heart broken immediately by Christina and Diego being kind of back together. I don't know exactly what will happen with them, but his heart was just shattered. And so I feel like he's turning off his humanity, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. The kitchen scene was so funny with Mark trying to take care of them while Julian and Emma were away. And Tavi, I was about to freak out because I thought that Cassandra Clare was going to kill the baby of the family again when Malcolm scooped him up and took him off as a sacrifice. I was very unhappy. I was pretty much screaming. I really appreciate the character of Ty because you really get to see a very good portrayal of someone. I don't know exactly what he has. I don't know how to exactly word it, but I just feel like it's such a genuine portrayal of someone who is different. And I just really enjoy his character, and I really love how much he likes to help out and shows that he doesn't let his differences stand in the way of his life. And I really enjoy that character. And I'm also super intrigued about Kit, or Christopher Herondale. See, this is why I wished I would have read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, because when I read that, I'm like, who is this? But if I had read The Lost Herondale before reading this, I feel like I would have had a lot more of a oh my god moment, because I guess that goes into more about it. And I haven't read it yet. I have it on hold. I also really love that we get to see the old characters back, but they're older. They're my age now, so I can relate to them more. Like, even more now that I could before. I miss them so much. I didn't realize how much I missed them until I saw them again in Lady Midnight. Even though I've been rereading The Mortal Instruments, it's different to see them in a new way. I hope you guys all read the little story at the end, A Long Conversation. It's a new little scene with Clary and Jace at Simon and Izzy's engagement party. Oh my god, I'm so happy about that. Simon losing his memories in the City of Heavenly Fire tore me to pieces. But I'm so glad that he's come back and his memories are coming back, and but that story tells us that Jace wants to marry Clary. They get interrupted, of course, before she can say yes, but I don't know why she wouldn't say yes. It does say that she's dreading giving him the answer later, so I'm a little concerned. Like, why are you dreading it, Clary? Why are you dreading it? Why are you dreading it? But I mean, they've got to get married, right? Will we have them going to Clary and Jace's wedding, and the Izzy wedding, Clay's and Izzy weddings, and then Emma and Julian dancing again? And yeah, maybe. I hope. I need all my ships to be together. I need them all. Yeah. And I'm just so happy that we get to see Jem and Tessa again. I adore them, and it's very clear that they get to have a bigger part in this series, which I'm so excited for. I'm just really excited about it, okay. And the epilogue, it shows that Annabelle Lee is woken up. So what? How I want to know how exactly that worked, because like the thing didn't happen, but there was a lot of blood in that room. So I need to know. I need Lord of Shadows like right now. So if I could just get like a time machine so I could go in the future and go get it now, that would be wonderful, basically. But, so, I think that's about it from me. I don't know if I have a ton more to say. There's a ton of characters in this book, and I could go on and on and on about every single one, but I don't know if I should make this video like an hour long, so we're gonna stop here. But go ahead and tell me down in the comments what you guys thought of Lady Midnight. Tell me how you think that Emma and Julian are going to get together, because I don't know how they're going to stay together, but I know that I need them to. Also, I just love this book so much. Please read it. If you haven't read it yet, please read it. Also, if you're still here and you haven't read it, why? I don't know. Okay, that was weird. So that's about it for me for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, please tell me down in the comments what the heck you think is gonna happen, because I need to know. Okay, I will see you guys in a new video very soon. Okay, thank you, bye. No, bye.